So Jesus brings down the Holy Spirit for the disciples, making them apostles. And at that point, they start to preach with a fever that they really have never done before. And even when they're asked to stop, they're arrested. They're like, okay, and then they keep on preaching. And they select seven men to go ahead and continue the apostleship and the message of Jesus Christ. And among them is a man named Stephen. And Stephen is taken prisoner, and he's given this sermon. And the sermon brings everyone back to Moses. And it's really important to understand that one of the things about an apostle is that the apostle's assignment is set from their birth. Even when they're not following Jesus and they're not with the Holy Spirit and they're not with God, God is still with them, right? The Holy Spirit is watching over them, and Jesus has his eye on that apostle because they're going to plant them in the place that they need to grow, among the people that they need to grow, so that they can tell stories just like Stephen does here about Moses, because the people that have taken him prisoner, they know the story of Moses. They know what he's talking about, and that's why his message strikes such a real point. In the story of Moses that Stephen lays out, we're taken back to when God was with the people as they escaped the Egyptians. And at that point, when things were good, when God would feed them, when manna fell from heaven, when the Red Sea would part, when the Egyptians couldn't catch them, they loved God. And it was good. But when things got rough, when it wasn't as easy, right, and there was struggle, then all of a sudden it was real easy to worship other things. And we really see that in what Stephen's talking about, because he's talking about when Moses and Joshua go up to Mount Sinai, and they're gone for a period of time. Moses' brother creates a golden calf, which the people then worship. And it's just a really short time. So Stephen is laying this out, and then he ties it up through other biblical figures, from Isaiah to Solomon to David, and really through Jesus Christ, because all things come back to Jesus Christ. And Stephen's point and message to his captors there is really his captured audience, right? Is going to be that they can't even understand Jesus Christ and God because they can't take on the Holy Spirit. They won't accept the Holy Spirit into their heart, and that's why they don't understand, because the Holy Spirit's functional role is to be our counselor, our comforter, our helper, our encourager, our strengthener, our judge, our friend, right? And so without it, God's message, the Bible doesn't make a ton of sense, right? Without the Holy Spirit to teach you, you need God to teach you about the Bible. Like, that's the best teacher, right? And so that's what Stephen's saying, and he's saying, because you have stiff necks, right? You're stubborn, right? And you're always right. Your chin is up, right? And because you have uncircumcised hearts, you have a heart that has not been cut open by the Holy Spirit and blessed, you are just what don't get it. And that doesn't, he's not popular. Shocker, right? And what happens is they stone him to death. But the thing about that apostle, right, is that their assignment begins from birth, and they're set among the people that they're to meet. So as Stephen dies, he dies at the feet of a man named Saul, whose job is to persecute and kill Christians, right? And what happens is that Stephen's death lays the groundwork, right, a strong stone foundation for when Saul will become Paul next, and what he will do for Jesus Christ through the Holy Spirit and in the name of God, right, will change our lives. It will establish churches and letters that make up the remaining part, really, of the New Testament. And that is because Saul was the apostle that was planted. He was a seed, and he was planted among the people that he needed to be so that he could preach to the Gentiles, which were the people he needed to talk to at all times. So that is really the beauty of what happens when an apostle gets planted. Their assignment begins at birth, and as they get blessed by the Holy Spirit, that's when they start to make a lot of sense to the people they're around, because they were always meant to talk to those people in terms they understand. And why? Why does the apostle do that? Because Jesus Christ did that. He talked about parables in ways that were easy to get and understand. And Jesus Christ is the teacher of the apostle. Boom. Happy Sunday. Chatting with Cheesman.